Well, I don't think I was fighting for anything except my own survival. For Oprah to be back in my life, and I hope this comes out right and in a humble way, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. It makes me want to cry. I'm naked. That's my butt and my boobs. My real little boobs.
I remember the first time I saw a woman wear stockings with a sling back. A, I knew I was gay. But B, I knew it was fabulous. And C, I learned that it was Robin Givens.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome, Robin Givens here.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm well. I'm doing well. I'm happy to be sitting here and talking with you like this. You
I'm
know
so
what I mean?
happy. I feel like this conversation has been almost 20 years in the making because you were so much a part of my media and movie experience throughout the years with Blank Man and Boomerang. And
my kids love that movie, Blank Man.
my aunt's favorite comeback, whenever she would fight, my mom had 6 sisters, there was like 7 of them, and my aunt's favorite comeback was, that bitch thinks she's Robin Givens, and she ain't. And literally, everybody be like, she thinks she Robin Givens. Like, that was her. That bitch thinks she's Robin Givens. And I'm like, yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny.
Because you were that bitch. You were that bitch.
Oh, that is so funny.
You were starring in one of the Grace Jones, Eddie Murphy, Eartha Kitt.
Right.
You had this movie come out that was almost... It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's still, till today, if you turn on USA, you catch it at the right time,
Right.
2 o'clock on a Sunday.
Probably on.
It's probably on.
Yeah.
Did you know how big that was going to be?
No, and it's funny because Eddie and I had been friends when I still thought I was going to become a doctor. I met him my sophomore year in college. I was
Yeah.
at Sarah Lawrence, loving acting, but it was still very much a hobby. He had just gotten Saturday Night Live.
So he was hot. It was like the moment.
Oh yeah, he had just gotten. He was so excited. He had just gotten the show, and it was before
The 10 kids.
Yeah.
It was before the 10 kids.
Oh my God, it was long ago. But so we had known each other. And even when I got out here and was doing head of the class, he was like, Simone. He always calls me by my middle name.
Yeah.
Simone, you're doing whatever. So it was funny to kind of now be auditioning for a movie that he's doing and then be working with this person who knew me before.
He knew you.
Yeah, he completely knew me. So maybe that was part of a little bit of magic, I think, in the whole thing. But I saw him, I guess it's been a few years now, at a comedy club, and he said, Simone Givens, who knew we did a classic? Like, who knew we were doing a classic?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
When you hit in the 80s, did you know immediately that this was going to be something that you were going to do for a long time?
No. So that's a really good question to me and for me, because it took me to recently where I go, oh my God, I'm an actress and I do this for a living. And that might be hard to wrap your mind around, but I'm from a family. I'm raised by a single mom, my sister
Same.
and I. And she really believed that education was a great equalizing factor in America. So that, education was very, very important. And I ended up graduating from college a little early. I started at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Acting became my sort of hobby, the thing I did. But it was hard to accept in my family. And then I think because it was hard for them to accept, it was hard for me to accept that this is what I was going to do in New York. In New York, right outside of the city.
Right outside of the city.
Yeah.
I grew up in the South.
Yeah.
So we didn't have, there wasn't actors around the corner or stage productions.
Right.
There wasn't any of that. So it's so interesting to me because you didn't only graduate early, you graduated from Sarah Lawrence and then got into Harvard Medical.
Right.
What was it
like?
like?
I went to Harvard grad because then I started... I knew by the time I got to Harvard, I was going to try to do something else. But then you have to get all of, the things you need. Yeah.
But how was that conversation with your mom? Like, hey, I am now going to give up on this dream that I have had for so long and that you have had. and I'm going to do this acting.
Yeah, I think if I'd gone to a different undergraduate school and not Sarah Lawrence, which happened to be very close to my home. I was 15 when I went to college, so I wanted to go away to college but still be close to home. I probably would be a doctor today because you kind of just followed. But at Sarah Lawrence, they encouraged the arts, right?
Yeah.
So Lauren Holly was my roommate in school.
That's
everybody.
crazy.
So it was hard for a really, really long time. I was telling somebody recently, I was doing vagina monologues. It was myself and Rosie Perez and Debbie Mazar. And she came to see me and she said, you know what? Maybe you should do this. You're pretty darn good at it. And I was like,
I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, it was hard.
When you decided to have kids, your career was bumping. You had A-list name recognition. The fear of giving that up must have been, or was it, scary?
Oh,
and did you think that you would ever come back and be welcomed back into this situation?
I don't think I thought about any of those things. I think I was so young, and I had gone through such an interesting, rocky road in many respects. I mean, I knew that I loved acting.
Yes.
I knew. So if I was at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, or I was studying this, or at Sarah Lawrence studying, I just knew I loved the craft of acting. I had no idea that fame came with acting. Like, I didn't think about people watching, or people then going through your garbage, or people writing about you, or not being able to walk down the street.
Well, when did that buzz hit you? Because that's a really great, what was that moment?
It hit me hard. I was like, we were talking about this a little bit before you and I. I remember getting to Hollywood, which was a big thing, getting on a plane, taking People's Express out. That it was just a random thing.
Old school.
There you go. And 3 days I had a job with Faye Dunaway. And then when I was doing Beverly Hills Madam with Faye Dunaway, I had a choice to do Amen or Head of the Class. And somebody said, you got to pick one. And I chose Head of the Class. I had no idea that people watched through that screen.
Yeah.
And so many people. I remember being with Mindy Marin at dinner, who's a great casting director, and she said, enjoy your last night of anonymity. And I was like,
girl, please.
And then when you can't walk the street, it becomes, at first it's kind of interesting. It just hit me hard.
How old were you when it hit you?
Oh, gosh. I think I was about 22, 23. I think, when I started, Head of the Class was a very popular show.
Huge.
And then being involved in a very public relationship where you literally are sending somebody. My sister used to go out the building. My sister and I look very much alike. Would go out the front door to get the paparazzi photographing her so we could sneak out the back door. Somebody should have told me.
When did you feel like the media had turned? Because I'm sure there was a love-hate relationship with it for a very long time, more love. And then there must have been a moment where there's a curve. There's always a curve.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, look, I was on Head of the Class, which was a nice, wholesome, I used to talk about this with Luke Perry, who did Riverdale with me. And I was saying, you guys came on when we were a little bit through Head of the Class. We were our third season. And we couldn't do anything on Head of the Class. We couldn't kiss. We couldn't date. It was it was Lucille Ball. They were sleeping in different beds. It was we used to, and we were adults. We were give us something to do. And then 90210 came on, and they were
making out.
Yeah, they were
and somebody got burned.
Time.
Somebody had a pregnancy test.
Yeah, so it was really popular. I think I was voted by People magazine most likely to break out from the show, and I got to do the cover with Howard Hessman. But I don't think you have any sense of what that is or what you're gearing up for. So I think there was a lot of love then and a lot of attention, and then when I met a man, and my ex-husband, there was a lot of attention. And then when I wanted to not be there anymore in that relationship.
That's when it turned.
Yeah. So I think it was very hard for me to be a 23-year-old. I always tell people when they try to talk about it.
You were 23?
Yeah.
When you went through.
Yeah. So I always think I look at my children, I'm like, oh my God, Robin, they're older. My older son is older than I was when I was going through everything that I went through. But it was hard to have a voice of your own in that.
You were steadfast in it all.
Yeah.
And you stood there and you fought. And why was that important for you?
Oh, well, I don't think I was fighting for anything except my own survival.
Yeah.
I mean, quite honestly, I don't think I was standing up for anything or anyone except I just wanted to live.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. So I didn't understand a lot was happening. It was just kind of just a survival mechanism. And I think it's hard for anybody to wrap their mind around if people aren't going through it. But that was a big thing for me.
Yeah. Looking back on that, I mean, it being a 23-year-old young lady, now being a woman who has lived through, survived, and talked about it, what has that experience taught you about yourself?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm working on it. I was saying to somebody even before speaking with you, perfection used to be sort of the thing that I would strive for, and I kind of have given that up. And I'm working on it. But I think that experience really gave me a sense of compassion for people. It gave me a sense of hoping, at least, that you can go through difficult times and situations and really try to be better for it. Because I really believe that our details are very different in life, but I don't believe that anybody gets out of a difficult time.
Okay. I just was having this conversation with someone because I feel like a lot of times when you go through something like that, you blame yourself. There's a lot of blame put on yourself, and you have to go through this journey where you have to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And that's almost like, why am I so easy to forgive this person and that person, but I can't forgive myself?
Yeah, why is that?
It's the weirdest thing. But I also think it's part of perfection. Like, this is not how my life was supposed to go. At what point in your life did you forgive yourself?
I think I'm still working on it. I think that I like the person that I am and the person that I'm becoming. I feel much more comfortable in my skin, I suppose, as you should, as an adult, than, as a child. Because basically, you're such a young adult,
23.
Right? And it's okay to not have known everything. I think the more we know ourselves, the better our choices are. So I think, even when you were talking about leaving the business for a time, I just know for me, there was something I had gone through where I thought I should have had a child then, and I wanted a child. It was the only thing I could think about.
Yeah.
And that became my focus. So I adopted my first son. I was telling someone it was like the first miracle I really remember being aware of, and he was like 4 or 5 weeks old and really came into my life, and I think in many respects was a very much healing part of my life. I got to see the world all over again, and it seemed brand new, and it seemed innocent, and it seemed good. You know what I mean? Because you can get to a point when things are thrust at you and such lies and BS and whatever,
no anchor.
And you're like, this is terrible. The world's a horrific place. And then all of a sudden you start to believe again. You know?
Get that anchor.
Yeah. He and I have a really wonderful bond, and we were just kind of meant to be. It's sort of how our souls came together, you know, in this very unique way.
And now that you have these 2 kids, because I often say we don't have the tough conversations with boys that we should have. We tell girls how they should be treated and how they should carry themselves, but we never tell young men about how to treat women, about consent, about domestic violence. How are you having those tough conversations with your sons?
Well, they've lived with me, right? So they've been a part of my life continually. And I'll tell you a story I haven't shared very often. But we were my family's originally from Lexington, Kentucky. And when my mom's mom, my grandmother, passed away, she ended up wanting to get a home there, just to kind of be close to her mom and something she was going through. And we ended up kind of redoing this home. Like, literally, we were like, get the hammers out, you take down that wall, I'll take down this wall. And I remember going into a movie theater with my sons, taking them to the movies in this random place, Danville, Kentucky. And somebody said, "Are you Robin Givens?" And I was like, well, yeah, you kind of keep everything. I got my overalls on, but I'm kind of like,
You try not to be fabulous, but you're just fabulous.
Well, I don't know about that. And weren't you married to that Mike Tyson? And I went, oh, no, not me. And my sons looked up at me, and then my older one at the time, I forget his name, you were married to Mike Tyson? And I went, okay. I did. I was like, because I'm telling her no, and I was about to tell him no, and I was like, we've got to have this
conversation.
Yeah, seriously? It was so interesting. And I think have I shared that, but I remember that moment where you do have to deal with your kids not as babies, but as part of society and
Yes.
growing up.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? So I think that was kind of the kickoff for us. And, I've done some speaking for women. I used to be the spokesperson for the domestic violence hotline. I
Amen
just
for
try
that.
to speak.
Amen for that.
Just be involved in, certain places they would go with me and we just have conversations. And I really say this wholeheartedly. Like I really wanted and want to give the world two good men, husbands, and
That's your goal as a
fathers.
parent.
It really is, yeah.
That's
that was
your goal
my goal
as a parent.
Yeah, and hopefully I did it. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you did something that I've always wanted to do. And one of my best friends did it. Her name is Faye Resnick. I love her dearly. You posed for Playboy.
I did.
Tell me, I mean, again, you were coming off this like very buttoned up show,
Right.
out of this marriage,
Right.
and you're like, I'm going to pose for Playboy. I'm going to do this shit.
My poor mother. And that's another thing, just with kids, then you have to go, oh my God, have my kids seen that? I'm naked. That's my butt and my boobs. My real little boobs, those with my boobs,
When you
I
saw
forgot about
that for the first time, what was the first thought that went through your mind?
I'm like, Robin, you're crazy. I don't know. I mean, I guess I had more kahunas in a way. And I think they're really beautiful. And they let me write my own article. I love writing.
That's
So
awesome.
I got to, I felt like my own voice at that time had gotten so lost. So I wanted to speak myself.
It was your time. It was your
Yeah.
social media
Yeah.
hit the
Yeah.
send button
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, so we did it. And I think there was a time I had this fearlessness, and I just kind of believed in right, and I believed in standing up, and I kind of believed in justice. There was a time in my life, quite honestly, that, I was a girl that grew up on musicals. I thought, so whatever
Yeah.
happens, soon song's gonna break out and everything's gonna be okay. And then you realize, oh my God, that doesn't quite happen like that.
But it did. It is because, it was great,
Yeah.
in the beginning, and then you hit a pit, but then you got blessed with these two kids, and
Yeah.
you raised these two unbelievable men,
Yeah.
and now you're having this second wave right now.
Right.
So your musical is
there a
happening.
song?
You're in Hello Dolly right now. There's this thing that's happening in Hollywood right now with black actresses, and it's a sisterhood. Where everyone is banding together. Everyone is supporting one another. Was that the same feeling in the 90s?
Look, when I first started doing television, first of all, I started before the 90s. I think Lisa
85.
Lisa Bonet was on TV, and then I was on TV. So,
Yeah.
when I met Lisa, that was like, I was like, oh, Cosby Show. That was huge. I don't think there were many black women on before that.
No.
I grew up with, we grew up with all good,
Good
times.
times. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there just weren't many people that looked like you on television. So now I love when you talk about a team of people. There are different colors and shapes and sizes and so many.
Oh, it's a coloring box out there.
Love it.
It's good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So to have that camaraderie and to feel, too, like there's enough for everyone.
Yeah.
If I think about even Oprah's network, when you look at that lineup, there's enough for everybody. We don't have to feel like if you get it, there's nothing for me to do. You know what I mean?
Because, again, Oprah is creating things for women like herself.
Right.
And you guys have, because you've worked with Oprah twice.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know who in the hell gets to sit with Oprah twice. Unless you killed your husband twice and she's doing a Where Are You Now? That's like the only time you get to sit with Oprah
Yeah.
twice, but you've gotten the blessing to work with the O twice. What's it like working on Ambitions? And what's it like what's the trickle-down effect? What's the feeling on set and from that whole team?
There's something about Ambitions that I don't know if it's our writer. I don't know if it's Will Packer. Maybe it's just all of it where my embracing my strengths and where I am now,
Yes.
that I feel like I can just fly doing it.
I mean, in this conversation, are you feeling like your musical is happening? Like, I keep on hearing the music come up. Like, your musical is really happening.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I feel happy. I don't want to be afraid to be happy and branch out and spread my wings and fly and be all that I was intended to be.
Yes.
I don't want to be afraid of that. I really want to enjoy it.
It's also about being a woman of a certain age and going through and knowing that you like getting that strength from everything that you've been through, from going to college at 15 to going through the troubles when you were 22 to having a child, you know, and going through all those moments. Putting you back at that moment with Oprah in Ambitions is where you're just bottling up everything you went through and you're bringing that to that character.
Yeah.
It seems like.
I think that, you know, it's so funny. We were sitting at a luncheon and Oprah, like, she's come to my house and spend the night and we we talk and just as, I mean, you know what I mean? Just as women, you know, but just as women, you know, we've had this thing at a certain time in my life. And now, like you said, to have kind of really grow up. And I think growing up is a process. And then life kind of teaches you and grows you up. You know, life itself has to grow you up. So
for sure.
For Oprah to be back in my life, I almost feel like there's so many things that I've been through now that, and I hope this comes out right and in a humble way, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. It makes me want to cry in many respects. But I feel like this network is perfect for me, or for me to represent this network in any way means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I feel like to have gone through what I went through and to kind of, I've tried to give women that don't have a voice when I feel like I didn't have a voice or direction. And I'm talking about women all different shapes and sizes and colors who, in many respects, and I say it humbly, I'm almost the perfect representative for this network because of all of that.
For sure. Know? And you've done it.
Yeah.
You've given women a voice. You've given a platform to something that got swept under the rug a lot, the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. And you certainly gave my aunt the comeback of a lifetime.
I love it.
That bitch thinks she's Robin Givens. She ain't no Robin Givens.
Why are you crying? You're making me
laugh. I love you. Like what you saw? Hit subscribe. You don't want to miss any new episodes of Just a Sip, and you can catch up on any past episodes. The tea was hot, I'm telling you.